I've often wondered about interstellar travel, meaning leaving our solar system and colonizing another planet. And I wondered how it would be done. First of all, you would have to find a place to go to. I usually um, feel that the closest place should be acceptable. Obviously, that's not reality. But then, how do you call a number? I mean, this is just imagination. So let's say it's a nearby solar system that we're going to go to. With the current technology, you would be accelerating to the halfway point, and then you would decelerate until you get to your destination. I probably will someday also invent a space brake, which will allow you to just keep on accelerating until you get there, and then you just brake real hard. But until we have that, you're going to accelerate halfway and then decelerate. You're going to have to send a probe first. And if you're really super smart like I am, your probe will prepare the planet for humans to live on it. So the first thing, your probe is going to have to analyze the planet. You need to resolve the atmosphere, which means you're going to have to get the gases you need to make sure that the atmosphere has the right pressure and that it is breathable and that you can have animals and people and plants and water. So you've got to locate all those things. Ideally, you want to find it within the solar system. So gas is going to be easy because all the planets are probably going to have gas. Not everything. You could argue hydrogen is available, but are you able to collect it? So let's say you're able to get all the materials you need. You build your atmosphere dependent on the distance you are from the sun so that you get the right temperature. It's really cozy for most people. You get a supply of water, which may not be like Earth. Instead of being like four-fifths water on the planet, you might have one-eighth. So you get everything ready, and obviously there's going to be material on the surface. It's not like the surface has all the soil you need. So you're going to have to prepare the soil, which is going to be removing debris or creating soil. Like maybe you'd have to take all the rocks and smash them all into a powder, into a fine dust. And remember, there would be no rivers if there's no water flowing, which means that when it rains, it would flood everywhere. So you might have to carve out rivers also. So you resolve those issues. Um, you have your planet, and ideally, you want to terraform it automatically without human intervention. You're going to have to grow the seeds to plant the trees or the grass or whatever you're planting. You want to start with the basics. Now, this is about interstellar. It's not about terraforming and colonizing. So, if you know that that planet is ready, it would take years to notify planet Earth, or obviously, you'd probably have colonized Venus by now, and Venus would be the head planet in our solar system. So, once you notify the headquarters of the planets in on Venus, you'd say, hey, look, we've got this thing and it's working out. And I'm going to tell you, some frozen fish eggs might grow pretty easily if you drop them in the ocean. Obviously, you can transport animals by freezing them and using biological magic to make them live on the planet. But this is about interstellar travel, isn't it? How do you get the humans there? You'd have to build a spacecraft that has the ability to produce energy to get there, even if you don't have perhaps solar energy. So you're going to have some super nuclear energy like thromium or thormium or thorium, and you'd have to have the energy to get there. Although once you get going, you pretty much are going to get there. The energy just gets you there faster. You know what I mean? You're going to have food for people. I'm assuming they're not hibernating. They're not hibernating. You're going to have to be able to grow food, which means everyone's pretty much going to be vegetarian. Maybe you'll bring a couple animals along, but you got to be really careful about how you take care of the animals and how much space they use, etc.
For example, you could actually have an aquarium that has fish that people consume. So you have a certain number of people. You can't have that many people. You have to assume that what's the perfect age? It's got to be someone around 18 years old who has some experience on Earth doing stuff like playing video games, operating a VCR, operating farming equipment. They know how to mix cement, maybe something like that. So you want people that have a little bit of knowledge, or at least someone who's ridden a bike or driven a car. They got to have some sort of life skill. And the people who have a pretty good life, they don't want to go. It's going to be people that come from Antarctica who, have are below the poverty line, and they know how to feed themselves because they grew up on a farm. And it'd have to be a crew of young people, and you'd have to have some old people, like some military dudes, who know how to manage a large ship. So if people are living during the trip, you have to accept the fact that they might not survive the trip, and their children might be the ones that colonize the planet. You would have to have accommodations. You'd have to accommodate the fact that everyone's going to have 6 or 7 kids. So you're going to have to make sure you have a nice place to live. You can't have little bunk beds. Most people aren't going to like bunk beds. They're going to want something like an apartment. The other thing you're going to need to have is all your entertainment, video games, movies, etc. You're going to need that connection to Earth so you can watch your satellite TV. You probably want everybody who likes to eat the same food and speaks the same language. It's kind of important. Um, Certain people will have different skills. Certain people do a better job in the hot sun, and maybe some people do a better job in the cold weather. And you also have to decide, are you going to live near the equator or not? You probably want to live near a place where you can grow food all year round and you're near water. So the other thing you need is a library of information to teach everyone all the skills that they need when they get on the planet. Because when they get there, they're going to have to grow food and they're going to have to provide for themselves. So they're going to have to want to do it. You're going to have to make sure that on the way there, they have jobs working in your agro ship, so that they learn how to farm and they understand that it's necessary for survival and they're not lazy like, my sister. So once they get there, you have to accept the fact, first of all, landing the ship is a big deal. You can't just take a giant ship with a couple hundred people on it or 1,000 people and just slam it into the ground. And I don't think it matters if you bring 100 people or 1,000 or 10,000. No matter what you do, it's going to be a little bit difficult getting off the ground. But 10 people is too few. You need a larger number, let's say 100 people. So you got to figure out how to land that ship, and you have to make sure that if the planet is not a place where people can live, they have to be able to live on that ship, because it's unlikely they're going to turn around and go home. It would be stupid to turn around and go home. They're probably going to have to live on that ship. Let's say they use my magic gravity device, which I'm going to patent soon, and they land on the planet and they live on the planet. And then you're going to say, well, we got to kick some of you people out. You're going to have to go and farm. They're going to need all the farming equipment, and you can't expect them to build it or do it by hand. The chance of success doing it by hand drops down to negative 0%, right? So that means you need a second ship just to transport supplies, such as tractors and bicycles and things like that. And it has to transfer things that do not spoil, which means when that tractor arrives, you need to be able to start it. The automatic starter, you're used to turning a key. In the old days, they had a crank, and they crank started it. Or maybe you'd have to power up some magical battery, which doesn't exist when you get there. So you have to transfer all the machines and all the supplies. I don't think it makes sense to transfer houses or like mobile homes, but you could do it because you could fill them up with stuff and just tow it out to where they live and just park it. And that's why it's important to have people who know how to drive and double clutch so that they can transport all this equipment out. And you probably want the equipment to arrive first. You don't want the people to get there. So, oh yeah, the equipment's arriving next year. You know what I mean? You want the equipment there. If they hibernate, then it's not that big of a deal. You get on the ship and you arrive and it's like nothing happened and you just continue your life. But I'm going to assume that that doesn't happen. Although when they sleep, you could do something to slow their heart rate down so that they live a little bit longer, extend the human life, or give them some anti aging cream, for example, that you just rub on your skin. So, right there, you solve most of the problems. When you get there, the water is not going to have anything in it. There's going to be no plants. There's going to be no salt. It's just going to be pure water. And you have to figure out, well, it's going to rain, so it's going to irrigate. But like I said, the mountains, the waters, no rivers, just going to flood like crazy everywhere. It might take a while before you have a river. I'm assuming that the planet never had water on it before. So once you do this, you have to assume that another ship is going to be sent out. Another ship's going to arrive, 10 in, let's say, 50 years or 100 years. And you're going to get some notice that another ship is coming. But the problem with the ship coming is that chances are the people that arrive are going to have better equipment and they're going to be a lot more positive and happier than the people that have been on the planet for 100 years. So there's a risk that there will be a war on the planet, the people that are already there versus the people that are arriving. They're going to want to claim all the stuff. They're going to they're going to prepare with weapons and stuff made out of sticks and rocks and things like that. And they're going to maybe build traps. So you're going to build another town. You can't build it next door because there's going to be an invasion as soon as people go to sleep. So you got to build it far enough away that it's too far for them to walk, like at least 10 miles away. Far enough away that you can still trade, but far enough away that they're not going to invade without you getting quite a bit of notice. Because you can all go hide in your ship anyway. So the other thing is you have to worry about security. Who are you going to entrust with some sort of a weapon in order to keep the peace? So there's a lot of issues that matter. The other option, people are going to say, well, take the second colony and put it far away and don't let the people know that they're there and just have some sort of telecommunications. I'm not that big of a fan of that. I think you should have trade because what trade does is it allows one group to provide something to lazy people in another group. For example, let's say my sister lives in one of the towns and she's really lazy. She never had to do anything as a kid, like wash dishes, you know what I mean? So let's say somebody needs their dishes washed. They could send clean dishes. So trading is more important than the potential for war, in my opinion. And plus, the ships will have laser defense systems. So you got a lot of things to think about. And then keep in mind, another ship is going to come in 100 years. Now, here's another matter. Colonizing interstellar has virtually zero benefit to planet Venus or Earth or our solar system. And the reason why is because we can't trade with them. They won't have the ability to send us anything in trade. Not only that, anything that we would trade them for, let's say it's gold, we could probably get somewhere else in our own universe, such as on the planet Jupiter or on an asteroid, or we could fly into the sun and dig up some coal. There's got to be a lot of coal on the sun, right? It's hot. Go into the little black spot, not as hot. There's nothing that they have that we want. There's no information or knowledge or culture that they have that we want. So there's really no value to interstellar travel whatsoever. Even to say, well, you go galactic and you preserve your civilization. That's true. But even if you could hibernate and step on a UFO and go interstellar, 20, 30, 40, 50 light years away and show up somewhere else, what are you going to do there? They would want specialists to arrive on their planet to help them, or people like me to wash the dishes because my sister, like I said, would never do it. She wouldn't even set the table. So They would need specialists to help the society along. And all the news they would get from planet Venus and planet Earth would be like 20, 30 years old. So it would not be current news. When Earth self destructs, they're going to find out 20, 30 years later. So these are all the issues with interstellar travel. And the end result is there's really no benefit to doing interstellar travel. Maybe there is. In order to have benefit, you'd have to be able to go both ways very quickly and have a reason to do it. Like maybe send some dude over there to go do geological stuff and then come back. And maybe if he could hibernate, but what is he going to come back to? He's going to come back. All his friends are dead. His girlfriend's dated somebody else, and they both died. His family's gone. Why would somebody come back? What kind of a life is he going to have? He's going to be forgotten. Oh yeah, you're the one geologist who went to that star system out there that nobody cares about. You came back over here, and you don't have an implant. It makes no sense to come back. So there's a lot of issues involved. Maybe someday they'll have real-time communication using Quantum Link, which was a service that became America Online, which I used to use in the 1980s. Maybe they will have some sort of a quantum communication, or they'll use some sort of analog communication, and maybe they'll have some sort of hyper jump or hyperdrive that lets you jump through space instantly. Maybe those things will happen. I don't think so. So interstellar travel makes little sense. Then the other issue is you're going to say, well, guess what? What if you want to go to another solar system? At some point, you're going to say it makes sense not to originate from Earth or our solar system. It makes sense to go to one planet, hop to the next, hop to the next, hop to the next. You would need a ship capable of that, which means it would have to be able to sail interstellar for potentially hundreds or thousands of years. What kind of power source are you going to get? Where are you going to get the uranium for the nuclear engine? Or the super secret element that mankind has yet to build or discover? So it's a big problem. And I don't think it'll ever happen, even though the aliens have already figured it out. Then, even if you could get to other star systems, solar systems, getting to another galaxy is a whole different story. Now, keep in mind that all galaxies are spirals. There's no exception whatsoever. But let's say there were exceptions. Forget about them. If you have a spiral and the stars are born at the center of the galaxy, you're not going to want to go outward on the spiral. You're going to bump into old aliens, and they're going to have weird faces and weapons. You're going to want to move inward towards the black hole. And not only that, because it's a spiral, let's see if we can find a spiral galaxy. You see how it's a spiral? When you do your interstellar travel, you're going to be going along the spiral. You're not going to be seeing the rest of the galaxy. To get to the other uh, thingy on the spiral, it's going to be more difficult. How do you cross from one of these thingies to the other? Okay. They value my privacy. You're going to have to keep on continuing inwards. Did it just, I can't believe what I just saw it say. And you're only going to be colonizing interstellar along your spiral until you get to the center. And once you get to the center, you will be attracted to the black hole and you will never come back. To get across, let's say you get over here and you figure out how to do it, you might have to go in the reverse direction, or maybe you just have to sit there and over time you will go outwards. I don't know. And then to get from one galaxy to another, it's going to be a whole different ball game. I mean, you're no longer talking short periods of time to get from one galaxy to another. It's gonna take forever. So when you think about like aliens, the chances that they're from our galaxy is really high, right? But not only that, the chances that they are from the same spiral thingy is also really high. And the chances that they've already explored the whole universe at some point is really high because once you get your manufacturing down and you make infinite interstellar spaceships and they go out and with their drones and scan everything, then that's it. And I have the feeling that people and planets will have the policy of controlling population rather than interstellar colonization. And it's probably easier to just build habitats orbiting your solar system rather than do interstellar travel. Probably way more easier. For if you watch my other videos, you would know that you can prevent forest fires. No, you can prevent bone loss by drinking milk. No, what you do is you know how they have the things that they spin around that create G forces. Centrifuge was the word that I was thinking. They have like a G force spinner, which is what the actual name is for the device. This thing, it spins around. There's one guy over here on the red team, and there's another guy here on the blue team. And all you gotta do is sleep in it for like, your normal 12 hours. And it will help you with your bone marrow loss. And you won't get the brittle bones, and you don't have to worry that you're gonna fall down or whatever and break your bones. So that is going to be one of the devices that I've patented that's going to help people stay in outer space during interstellar travel. Okay, so those are my thoughts on interstellar travel. And imagine if you did get through the whole universe. To get out of the universe, I'm going to show you what it looks like. Those of you who don't know, I know. That's what the universe looks like. It looks exactly like this right there. So to get out of the universe, just to go to another universe, I mean, it's going to take you crazy amount of energy and technology and hibernation, and you're going to end up, you know, frostbitten and stuff like that, and your memory's probably going to be erased. It looks like Eagle Nebula. So those are my thoughts on interstellar travel. You're probably not going to be able to ever do it ever, or maybe within your lifetime you'll do it. Okay, happy travels.